Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Monday workshop. And as always, every Monday, we have a special guest that we invite. So we have with us Sister Elizabeth. She has been Baba's right hand. She started her journey in the East Coast. I'll let her share the journey. But personally, how I know Sister Elizabeth as somebody who is very dedicated and at the same time take the ownership of Baba's service. And that's how I see Sister Elizabeth, who takes Baba's task as a personal task, and she's an amazing mother. And I see her son Carlos, and he's always a happy kid and very close to Baba. And definitely, we know that the sanskaras that we take are not only from ourselves and from the culture that we grow up, but also heavily from our mother and father, right? And she definitely has a solid influence on the brother Carlos. And I'm looking forward to hear more influences of Baba on our journey. Without any further ado, I invite Sister Elizabeth. Thank you. Welcome.
Om Shanti. And good evening and happy Monday to everyone, and happy New Year to everyone here. And in terms of more people joining, Harsha, only those who need to be here are going to be here. We're not going to have one person less or more. So it's just perfect and accurate.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
And also, it's not Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the formal name. So you can say Sister Lisa. It's always good to have all our sisters and brothers with us in the gathering. It gives a perfect support and backing, in terms of sharing our journey, our experiences, and the events that happened in our lives. Now, one thing that you were asking was, or the topic is the experiences that Baba has given to us, right? In terms of Baba giving me experiences, I have to say that I have had plenty of experiences receiving from Baba in the form of a gift, in a form of realizations, the many aha moments that I had, like if I had any conflicts within myself about someone, about a senior, about a topic, I always consulted it with Baba. And either in meditation or in the form of a Murli that suddenly came in, like somebody would just hand me a Murli and say, read this part, just out of nowhere, but that part exactly was the answer. Or in dreams, I would get answers from Baba. And I had a very love-hate relationship with God from childhood. Like from age 5, I remember when I became aware of being in this world, I realized that I was born in Iran. And I said to him, I used to look up and lay down in bed and look up and say, why did you bring me here? Who are these people? What is this language? What is this culture? It just felt so unfamiliar to me at the time. And as I grew older, I could see that the reason I took birth in that place And in that family is because I had some karmic entanglements and karmic relationships with my family, particularly with my mom. And I understood that, and then later on when went to school, realized that, okay, this country has very interesting history and has very deep literature and poetry and culture. So, okay, I'm going to give it a chance, But the intellect was continuously focused on leaving the country. And sort of like I used to plan to even escape, But then I decided to escape through education and came to the United States and went to Boston to study with the aim of not going back. But again, from childhood, I was looking for God, traveled everywhere in the world and used our vacation time as an excuse. As they were going sightseeing, I would ask the tour guide to take me to some religious places in that country, wherever it was, whether it was in Japan or it was in India or it was in Israel, anywhere. I particularly chose deliberately certain countries, and I used to tell my mom, can we go and see, for example, this country, let's go and see Japan, because I wanted to see if I can find any scholars or any priests or, these high religious figures who would have an answer as to whether they know who God is. And of course, they didn't, and they wouldn't answer, and they would get mad at me, often. They would get really annoyed or cross their, leave the room or turn around, and don't look into my face, etc., etc. So it was a very uncomfortable journey of journey of searching for God. So by the time I came to Baba, I was refusing to come to the Brahma Kumaris because, you know why? Because they were not charging anything, and the courses were for free, the classes were for free. So I thought there must be a catch to it, because just before coming to Brahma Kumaris, I went to Transcendental Meditation Center and I paid $600 to get one mantra. So why would they not charge me? So my friends kept telling me, come to this place, come to this program, come to this whatever. And I was like, no. And I refused to come. Yet so many ways Baba used, so many methods and so many instruments and tools he used in order to pull me into his lap. And one of them was that I just had a baby and I couldn't sleep. So my friends said to me that he has gone and taken this class at the Brahma Kumaris, and they gave him a tape, a meditation tape. And guess what? Who was the commentator of that tape? Do you know who it was?
Sister Denise?
Yes. I slept with Sister Denise's voice every single night for 1 year, and I never finished the tape. I always started with, I am a soul, I am a point of light, I am this, that, and I haven't taken the course, but just after like half a commentary, I would just fall asleep. The tape really was helpful in putting me to sleep. because I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia. After delivery, mothers tend to have insomnia. So I was unable to sleep. And that tape was like a God-given gift. And when I started taking the course, and they were teaching me about I am a soul, I was like, yeah, I know all of these things, because I heard it so much in my sleep, and it was not unfamiliar. It was not something new or something strange. It was really a familiar experience. But then my sister comes to the United States, and she says that I want to take a positive course. She's telling my friends, not me. And because we're in Boston in a university setting, we're surrounded by universities. She said, I want to take a course in positive thinking, but I don't want to pay for it. I want to learn something about positive thinking and, I don't know, get some certificate or something. And my friend said, oh, I know about this place that they teach positive thinking course and they don't charge you money and they claim that they are university. But their university is very small. It's just one apartment, So I was like, okay, I'm going to take you there and I will sit in the car and wait for you. She said, no way, you have to come in with me and you have to stay with me throughout the course. I was like, oh.
And this was in Boston?
This was in Boston, in Brookline, Massachusetts. And she came, I stayed, and she left. She did not take anything out of it. I was the one who was so fascinated by the whole knowledge, and the teacher who happened at that time to be Sister Sharona, she said to me, well, you seem to have a lot of advanced questions, so why don't we separate you and I teach you, privately. And I used to go every morning at 8 a.m. to the class, but I used to leave around noontime because I had so many questions. But part of that so many questions was testing the teacher and testing the knowledge. I just wanted to see if she's going to lose her temper, if she's going to get upset, if she's going to eventually say, I don't know. It was like, it's too good to be true. So soon after, I graduated from my master's degree in computer science, and I had no confidence. Can you imagine, I got a master's degree in computer science, and yet I thought like I know nothing. And Sister Sharona told me, why don't you create for me this calendar, online calendar? And I was like, oh my God, this is such a high demand. Like, oh, I have to use the computer. I have to learn how to, maneuver with this system. I was so afraid of touching it. I had no confidence and had no trust in myself, and I thought I know nothing too, which to some extent, I think when you graduate from university, everything is theoretical and practically you don't know how to integrate what you learn in theory into real life. But through Baba, the task that was given to me, it was the task of giving me self-confidence, the task of giving me courage, and giving me the muscles to get stronger in doing and developing that self-confidence. So I started, and I used to take the paper back to her. At that time, we did not have the email system. I used to always drive back and forth and give her the paper. She would look at the calendar, how I prepared it and how I printed it and everything. And then she would look at it. And the first thing she would do, which is, if you notice from Baba's Murlis, Baba always says that anytime you make any corrections, first praise the instrument, then make the correction. And the first thing she would do is she would just come, praise how well I have done this calendar and how beautiful it looks and how great I have taken the time to sit and do it. And she's in such appreciation, this, that. So when she did that, I can understand why Baba says this, because when she did that, she opened up my mind to listen later. And then by the time I was getting ready to go home, that piece of paper was all red with, I don't know, more than 100 corrections. Do you see the beauty in that system that Baba is telling us? Many times, many people always, like, you deliver something to them and then they say, but this one is missing, but you forgot to do this, like right away it goes into correction. And what she was doing always, she took the time to make the ego of the soul quiet and praised it, and not praising falsely or artificially, praising everything that was done properly. And then making the corrections, where by then it was just like, okay, we need to correct this and we need to correct that. And then you can hear it very openly and easily. So that dynamic, that interaction, and that kind of involvement helped me enter into the field of service and do it with confidence. And most of the time, most of the work that I do in the field of service is through the computers and anything to do with online stuff now. But the very first time when I wanted to do service, or I thought I did service, was when the meditation ended. And, when the meditation ends, somebody gets up and switches on the light. And I got up and I turned on the light in the room. And then I looked around to see if everybody's going to say, yay, you did this, or they would thank me for doing this. And because I thought I did service, and nobody turned around and looked. And I was like, didn't they notice that I just got up and I switched on the light? It was a beautiful experience of recognizing how much the ego wants acknowledgement at that time. And how much I thought that was such a big service that I did. But it was just the beginning. And service is what? You do whatever is needed, whatever is necessary in the in your on your path, to your growth, and you don't think about who is watching and who is acknowledging and who is appreciating or whatever. You just do it. When you do things naturally, you don't think about it and you don't demand it internally, and as a result, externally getting upset. But when we do demand it, then of course there is that disappointment, like it happened when I got up to turn on the lights. Now, in terms of my relationship with Baba, one thing that I learned very early on in this study is I used to have a lot of questions, as I said, and I used to have a lot of complaints too about situations in life and in the family, things that I don't get along with this person or that person. And I wanted to come every time to the center, and it was not like phone calls or texting or emailing. It was not like that. You had to be present. So I come to the center and I used to tell the sister, can I meet with you? And she would say to me, the first thing she would tell me is, why don't you first go to Baba's room and meet with him first, then come to me. And I said, okay. So I remember I went to Baba's room. This happened to me 3 times. 3 times Baba did this to me. And one of the things that I do in meditation is I do fly up and go to the subtle region. You know, like how Sister Denise explained recently about the subtle region, that how Baba created the subtle region for the to connect with the consciousness without the interference of the body. This is what is happening, you know, when you go up to the subtle region and you're connecting with Baba on a subtle level, and you're having that interaction with him. What happens is all the waste gets eliminated. And I used to go up to the subtle region with an agenda of saying, but I have this issue, I have this issue, and this issue first. And then what Baba did was, he said to me, why don't we go on a tour around the world? And the way he did it was like, he chose a familiar scene for me. It was like the carpet of the, you know, the magic carpet of Aladdin, but it was a carpet of light. And we sat on it, and then we just traveled around the world. And from up above, he showed me all the different areas in the world with all the different issues that are happening in the world. Like, this place is a lot of war going on. This place is a lot of poverty going on. This place is a lot of, you know, famine is going on. And he showed me in detail the things that was going on in the world, in different parts of the world. And no place was exempt. You know, like he even showed me the inner city of Boston. You know, and I thought like, wow, oh, Boston even has this homeless place. And can you imagine now the California, the homeless dramas, or Los Angeles? When you're sometimes comfortable, you don't recognize, you know, what's happening in your neighborhood. But at the same time, he was showing me a whole global issues. And then when we come back to Baba's room, and then I get settled, and then he turns around and he says, what do you want to say, child? And in that moment, the feeling was, next to what's happening in the world, my problem is so non-existent. Like, okay, I had this conflict with, let's say, with my friend, or with my mother, or with my husband. I mean, it's a conflict, and it comes and goes. And why is it that I make it big? In that moment, it suddenly seemed to me trivial and non-existent. So again, this happened 3 times. And then after that, I learned that every time I have any issues, I go to Baba. More than I go to any seniors, I go to Baba. Going to seniors is to get confirmation and to get the blessing, you know, at the end, whatever decision I want to make, you know, in terms of whatever I want to do. But initially I go to Baba because he shows me, because he is also teaching by me going to Baba. He is teaching me to tap into that silence. So once you're in that inner silence, there is that quietness. There is that cleanliness of the intellect. There is no waste going on and flying around. When you're creating that clean space, then you get to hear the signal. You get to hear the message. You get to hear the tip. You get to hear the warning. You get to see sometimes. So it comes to you, and it is absolutely every time absolutely true, and it happens beautifully, accurately. correctly and successfully. So part of my journey was how much my life has changed, my personal life, because I was the kind of a person that, like, even my sister, when she was here and visiting this time, I got sick, very, what is it? It was a very intense flu that I got this time. It was not COVID or anything, but honestly, I might as well should have gotten COVID because it was so intense. And it was almost 2 weeks. So I slept a lot. And she didn't like the fact that I slept a lot, but she understood because I was resting. I needed the rest. And yet, she said that you have come such a long way because, you know, in the past, when I did not have Baba, I used to sleep all day and stay up all night. Big portion of my life before knowledge, before Gyan, was spent in sleeping and in depression. Mild depression, severe depression, come and go depression, but it was there and it was very gripping. Yet when I came to Baba, a lot of things have changed. My personal life has changed, and there is strength. You know, at this point, I would say more than purpose, to have purpose in life, I have strength in life. Because you might want to have you might have a purpose and a goal to follow, to go and achieve. But if there is no strength, you cannot do it. You cannot achieve it. Somehow along the way, there will be a slippage. So what Baba did, and with the help of Baba and Daddy Janki, she worked very hard. And even at one point she said to me, after she asked me, how are you doing? Are you okay? I said, no, I'm not okay. She said, oh, you are testing Daddy. You know, because I always had this, what is it, marriage between me and sadness. And she said to me, you are addicted to sadness. Finish your addiction. Another time when I used to react to things, she told me, call me, I want to tell you something, because I used to write to her at that time. By then we had the email system, and she said to me, you have a sanskara of reacting, finish that, finish the reactions. Now the thing is that she would give me the tip, she would give me the surface, you know, and then I have to go to the depth and to find out the root cause of reaction, the root cause of sadness, and to understand the root cause of even addiction, and to understand that I need to finish it because it's not serving me. But at one point when I remember I was in Madhuban, and I was very down and depressed at that time. And I wrote to Daddy, and I saw her, and I wrote to her again. And she said to me, Baba is going to give you an injection, an injection of life, you know. And I remember I went the next day and I said, where is that injection? I need that injection because I think I'm going to lose it, you know. And she said, he is giving it to you. Just have patience. Don't question so much. Just have patience. And I sat in meditation in Baba's room in Madhuban. You know, of course, you know, part of the whole beauty of being in Madhuban is to take advantage of that very, very strong and thick vibration, and that is accumulated in Madhuban. and is available to us. But the only way we can access it or we can tap into it is if we are quiet, because the vibration is very high. And yet, a lot of times in Madhavan, what we do is we socialize, right? So in socializing, we lose a lot of momentums, and then we lose a lot of connections between I, the soul, and the Supreme Soul. And what happened was I went every day at certain time and sat there alone with Baba. And I felt so there were times I would feel like my cheek, the right side or the left side, was like warm and was being caressed. I felt his presence. I felt his energy. I felt the love. I felt the upliftment, and I felt the injection of love that he was giving to me. And since then, I had so much strength to continue with this fluctuations and to overcome this fluctuation. The only way we can do it is, of course, through that connection with the Father, through that partnership, and using him in meditation, using him in a conversation, and using him in our dreams. You know, he comes in many ways, in many times, in many forms to communicate with us. And I don't feel at any point that he has neglected me. I did leave him, I did neglect him, but he did not. He was always present. If I wanted to be present, he was present. But he's only can give me if I take the first step. And that's what I learned in this relationship, that I have to take the first step and I have to make the connections. I give you one example that I had with Baba, which is a beautiful example because it also, when my son was young, as Harsha was mentioning about Carlo, he is the one who brought me into this knowledge. He 100% knew who Baba was. He understood the point of light. He was, when he came, he was soul conscious, because many people around me would, these are like just employees and, you know, friends who do not know anything about spirituality, but they would tell me, look at the light inside his forehead, you know, can you see the light inside his forehead? It's sparkling, you know, and I couldn't see, but they were seeing it. And they were telling me, look, you know, he's very special. As soon as he started walking, which was about 10 months old, he started coughing. So we realized that he has this asthmatic cough. And then he got sick. Let's say he was like 1 year something, and he got sick. And at that time I knew Baba. I got to know Baba. And I was laying down next to him, and I put my hand on his chest, and I said, I connected with Baba in the Sattva region, and I said to him, Baba, how about if you give me your light, and with your light that goes through my hand, I'm going to heal his chest, because his chest was making some very strange noises, like, you know, like an old man. Very, very scary sound for a mother to hear. And I didn't know, and he had high fever. So at that moment, you know, when I was holding it, I got quiet, and the whole atmosphere got quiet around me. And I was up in the southern region with Baba. And the graciousness, the gentleness, the grace of God is that he said, sure, I will give you the light, the energy to heal him. So he first said, sure. Then I said, but don't you think that if we do this, you're going to delay his settling his karmic account? And in that moment, I just pulled my hand away. And I was like, okay, so what would I do now? You know, now that I cannot heal him, what do I do? And he said, just do what you're doing. Stay next to him, be the mother, and give him love. Be present. And I realized, you know, what does it mean to have that role of a mother? It's not solving the problem for others, but being there for them to finish and settle their own story, their own karma, their own account, right? It's just being there to give them the strength and the courage to go through what they're going through. Now, this is a child, so he has to go through his sickness, and he has to finish it, and he has to settle that segment. So I wasn't very sure that this was a correct connection with me and Baba, and I was like, wow, I have such good imagination, and look at it, I just made up a whole story, you know. And I said, Baba, if you think that this connection and this message that you gave me is a correct one and is true, it happened, prove it to me. I don't believe this, because I feel like I'm just too creative in doing this kind of conversations. And 10 minutes later, one of the sisters from the center, from Boston Center, said that I'm coming to visit you to see how you're doing and bring you some Murlis and bring you some Daddy Janki classes and bring you some Toli and some food. I said, fine. I was sick too, you know, I was sick with the child, and but he was like super sick. So she comes about an hour later, and she brings a stack of Murlis and classes and all that. And on top of that was a class by Daddy Janki. And I said to myself, let me read from the top, you know, and I go to the bottom. After she left, I took the class and I read, and Daddy said, and this is a university. And this is not a healing center for us to do hands-on healing and try to heal others. So if you're using your hands to heal others, pull it back and focus on the knowledge. So I was like, okay, I got my confirmation. And then this is not a healing center. You know, this is a university. And since then, that was my direction, and that not to interfere in other people's dramas. Do send them the good wishes and pure feelings, but do not try to solve their problems like any mother does, you know. And that was a lesson at the very beginning of my motherhood, which was very helpful, you know. And to some extent, my son complained that how when he was younger, I did not interfere in many things. But now he's telling me that, okay, now it helped him, because now he has the strength to make decisions without fear, which is I think the best gift one can give to any child, you know, that you can make a decision fearlessly and not be confidently, not be shaky in making decisions. Because even in making decisions for me, even now, I still have certain times, moments that I have difficulty trusting what I am deciding. But he is very confident. And in that, even my sister in this trip said to me, maybe sometimes we should be like Carlo, you know, just be very carefree and be very confident and don't worry about anything and da-da-da, you know. And she was like, praising him because we were going through some drama here with some of the colleagues here. And she was saying that, maybe we care too much. And he doesn't. He gets straight to the point. But that's part of the fact that he complained at the beginning, but now he sees the fruit of it. So my experience with Baba, again, as I was saying, it's a ongoing journey. And the thing is that anytime, even now, it's not like something that Baba has given me back then and now I am on my own. No, even now, I feel the presence, I feel the support, I feel the strength that I have. I feel back of me is strong and protected. And the fear that I used to have, I don't have anymore. Fear of death, fear of uncertainties, fear of negative situations might happening, like, for example, we had an issue with one of the contractors recently, the construction contractors. And I said, Baba, you know what? I don't want to worry about this situation. I don't want you to solve it for me. I know that your job is not to solve, but I don't want to worry about it. I just want you to give me the strength on figuring out how to handle it. And it was beautifully handled to the point that on 3rd of January, he called and he apologized for the way he spoke, apologized for his negligence and this and that, and from that day till today, he has been very proactive in his task, which I know that has to do with me not getting caught up in waste and not getting entangled in details. And keep sending that soul, believing that sending that soul light of solution, light of knowledge, light of hope, light of good wishes works. Believing, because we often hear Baba says, have pure feelings and good wishes, pure feeling and good wishes. And I remember at the beginning when I used to do that, I did it, but I was like, I wonder if it works. But now I know it does. And there is no wondering. No, we shouldn't even waste time wondering because we're dealing with Almighty Authority. Almighty Authority, what it does is giving me the company that I can enjoy that company and get strong enough to handle any situation in a very successful way. And if I am in the company of the Almighty Authority, and when he says, I am the Almighty Authority, you are the Master Almighty Authority. And if I am in the company of the Almighty Authority, and I am the master of all the powers, then the result should be positive. The result should be successful, and the result should be victory. Should I pause here and just give it to you, Harsha? Bye.
Well, this is beautiful. So can you share something around that pure feeling, good wishes, and the magic that it did as you are going through this journey?
Well, the first time that I was in Madhuban, I remember I said to Baba, I don't want any obstacles in my life. I don't want any obstacles from anybody. And I don't want it from anything in my life. So please take all my obstacles away. This when in a form of beggars, we always tend to beg God for, please take this away, please do this, please give this, please take that. And then he comes, and the first thing he did in that meeting, the first thing he did when he turned in the direction that I was sitting and he looked at me, he said that the title of the conqueror of obstacles has been given to you, children. If you don't conquer obstacles, how can you use this title? How can you claim this title? So I was like, oh, okay. You know, it was like such a realization in that moment that, oh, then I have to overcome them in order to earn this title. And the thing is that what happens is with Baba, he gives us the title ahead of time, right? He doesn't wait until you earn it. You don't have to earn it. You take it, you claim the, you are, what is it? You are bestowed the titles upon birth. But what I have to do is just become aware of them and use them. And in using these titles means just my awareness is increased. My awareness is ongoing. I have a list of all these titles that Baba has given to his children. And I look at the titles and I say, today I am a world benefactor. So holding that awareness of being a world benefactor, holding that awareness of being the conquerors of obstacles, or being, victorious over obstacles, or being the master creator. Different titles that come about that I have in that list. When I hold that awareness, then the intellect is tuned in to a very high elevated frequency. The intellect is not down here dealing with all the mundane stuff that are going on. Like I have to prepare for class, I have to finish cooking, I have to do shopping, I have to meet with this person, whether these are the mundane things that have to happen, yes. But my intellect is busy in a very, very high level. That's why we have this session called lessons series called The Language of God. Is what is making me aware that I am beginning to listen to the language that is spoken by God, and my language is becoming like him, and the intellect's frequency is becoming equal to his frequency. And as a result, because his intellect is constantly in the serving mode, then so is mine. Therefore, I don't need to think about good wishes and pure feelings for others anymore. All I need is to tap into a field of frequency, elevated field of frequency, with these words like, I am a world benefactor. Who made me a world benefactor? The supreme world benefactor, the world benefactor. So I'm in the company of that benefactor. And being in that company, then naturally the intellect is constantly serving. You remember at the beginning when you said one thing that Lisa does is that in the field of service, she takes ownership. The reason I take ownership is because this is, I am in the company of the one who is constantly has the ownership of the task, right? And he's the one who does the task. So why worry? I used to worry. But why worry? Because so many times I worried about so many issues, and so many times that I worried, I wrote to Daddy, and every time her answer was remain as a carefree emperor. Remain as a carefree emperor. Be a carefree emperor. I kept thinking, what does that mean? What does that mean, carefree emperor? I'm worried about this, and how can I be carefree? But the thing is that if I am with the Supreme Emperor, then I am carefree. It's just normal, and it's very natural, that that relationship, that interaction. It's like if you're, in the company of the VVVVIP and all the secret services around you, you feel safe, you feel protected, and you feel taken care of. So the same thing, when we are in the company of the Almighty Authority, then I am taken care of. And one time, one dignitary, I think he was like some kind of a deputy or whatever, some minister in India. He came to Madhuban, and he came with all his bodyguards and secret service and everything, and the guns and everything. And they asked them if they can leave everything outside the campus, and they said no. And then they came in. And at the end, when he finished his stay, his visit at in Gyan Sarovar, he was giving his closing, taking leave remarks. And he said, when I came to the Brahma Kumaris day one, I was the VIP, a very important person. And they too, when I took some of the classes, I was the real VIP, a very informed person. And by the time now that I am leaving, I am the real VIP, a very ignorant person. Because he realized that, all that is just the facade of body consciousness. How much we have that ignorance when we don't realize that in the company of the Almighty Authority, in the company of the Supreme Soul, I have everything. I need nothing. I lack nothing. I want nothing, and I have everything. Only happens in that connection and in that relationship, in that presence. I was thinking maybe what we can do is maybe we can practice a little bit of this, and I know about soul consciousness. Because the only way we can have that company is when we make that switch from role consciousness to soul consciousness.
That will be beautiful if you can take us.
So I can do some commentary, but you don't need to put music. Just what I want to do is request for everyone to pay attention and tune in. Because every day Baba says, and even he emphasizes every day, the first teaching that you children receive is to consider yourself to be souls. That's our first lesson and our last lesson. And that is the last test that we receive. Consider yourself to be a soul. So at this point, let go of body consciousness and become soul conscious. Baba is in that reality. He just wants his children to also get it, to be in that reality, to be awake, to wake up, to be in connection with Baba's reality, which is also his children's reality. So he repeats this first teaching endlessly. Consider yourself to be a soul. Knowing and realizing that there is no compromise in that truth. Baba is a soul. And only when his children become soul conscious can they truly remember the Father. Otherwise, that remembrance in body consciousness is very intellectual. So it is good to come into the essence. In 1 second, to come into the essence and hold on to that essence. In 1 second, hold on to that essence for 1 more second. And in fact, let's just aim to hold on to that essence for more than 1 second, more than 1, 2, or even a few seconds. Hold on to the essence, maybe for 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And with time, many more seconds will be experienced. Until the time when the soul remains awake fully. That is what Baba refers to remain soul conscious over a long period of time. Imagine if 5 consecutive seconds I can hold on to that essence without losing awareness. What is the essence? It is soul consciousness. It is the recognition of immortality of the soul. It is the invisibility of the soul. And it is the presence, the subtle presence, yet the invisible presence of the soul. The immortal and the eternal presence. That is the essence. immortal, eternal, subtle, invisible. This subtle, invisible presence is aware of the path of ignorance, is aware of body consciousness, is aware of the human form that is in the story of this drama, this unlimited drama. But it's aware of it at a distance. And this living, subtle presence is also aware of the path of knowledge, path of ignorance, path of knowledge, the consciousness of the soul, and the consciousness of the Supreme Soul. And their subtle, eternal connection, their eternal bond, their eternal bond of love, their celestial celebration, their heavenly meeting and celebration. And because of this knowing, the soul, the subtle presence, the invisible soul is aware of his timelessness, his timeless, ageless, and bodiless nature. And that he knows that he exists forever, never dying, never ending. And he is in that eternal existence. In that eternal existence, he does not need anything else. He even does not need to know anything else, but to focus on its eternity. To focus on its timeless eternity. Knowing and holding this unlimited reality, what more does any being would want? So it is good to get into soul consciousness in order to experience the unlimited, the freedom, and the essence to experience the unlimited, the freedom, and the essence. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Elizabeth. It is really beautiful and very relevant at this point of time. And I was always thinking about this condition of depression and soul consciousness. And you nicely put it together and take us to that meditation. And especially because with so many people going through lifestyle changes, right? Working from home, being with family is good, but after a point, it is different condition, different environment at work. And the challenges that you may be facing is different from what it was 2 years ago. And some people are not coping up to that change. And some people are stepping back, retreating into that space of void, space of depression, disconnecting, even though they're surrounded by people at home, they feel going into that void or unsafe inside. And then that is taking them much deeper. But the meditation that you just took us is really beautiful. Experiencing that unlimited, experiencing that freedom, right? That sense of abundance is so beautiful, right? Unless you feel, you cannot go. And I was just watching one of the videos on the thing on, there is something called phantom pain, which is experienced by people who lose legs. Like if somebody has lost their leg in an accident or something, reality is the leg is totally amputated, right? And at the same time, the leg which was amputated, they start feeling the pain of that leg. The reality is the leg itself is not there. They feel the leg is burning. It's a real condition. For people who are there, if you Google, you know that this is a real medical condition. It's called phantom pain. But the person literally experiences the pain, even though physically it is not even there, right? And if you putting that next to soul consciousness takes us to the total different level, right? It's all about the consciousness of something which is not there. You're imagining it to be there. And at the same time, you're conditioning that imaginary thing which is not even there under excruciation pain. You might have that trauma when you had that accident, but you're still experiencing that now, right? And then they have the treatment of how to fix the phantom pain is like they put a mirror and then they try to do a lot of visualization there, right? It's another way of meditation that they say that, look, it is not there. The pain is imaginary and then you can let go of it. They have to do a lot of tricks as a part of therapy to let go of that phantom pain, right? And the same thing, the depression is also created within our mind with all these phantom pains that we have created inside ourselves. And definitely experiencing the truth. I enjoyed your sharing of emphasizing on being soul conscious. It is real thing. It is not an imaginary thing. It is you. And then try to taste it, go beyond words and experiencing that. It's really beautiful on the power of affirmation that you share, right? I mean, it's not affirmations. It is the truth, right? So if you can elaborate a little bit around that language of God is actually pointing to the real thing of soul consciousness, that virtues, the divinity, that spiritual powers within us, when we tap into that language of God, tap into what that words are pointing to, right? Words are just a pointers. It's just a sign showing to something. Soul is something. It is not a word. Divinity is something. It is not a word. So if we can, because God's words will definitely take us closer rather than worldly philosophy. So if you can elaborate a little bit around that.
Well, God's words are very high frequency or very elevated, right? Like Daddy once said, we are no more, we should no more have common language. We should have divine language, speak divine vocabularies. Because I said something like common sense, and she said, common sense doesn't exist for BKs anymore. It's a divine sense.
Mm.
So when we start thinking about even how we speak, and instead of using this ordinary vocabularies and jargons that is very convenient and it's our comfort zone, but becoming aware and then shifting to a language that is that God speaks, which is very simple but very elevated. When he speaks and he says, consider yourself to be a soul, when he says, be man above, when he says, follow Srimad, the Shri, even Srimad in it, the word that is elevated is in it. So I start focusing, why would I read regular worldly papers and newspapers and articles or whatever? Let me read godly newspaper. This brother in Madhuban, he had the Murli in his pocket, and he said, this is my newspaper. Every time I open it and I read what is the news of today, according to what Baba is giving me. So what consciousness do I want to have? In the commentary that we just practiced, that when I was talking about that subtle presence, is aware of both the path of ignorance and the path of knowledge. It's aware of these two options. So which option do I choose to work with? The option that is doesn't have any strong energy, or the option that has very elevated, uplifting energy? At the end, with that phantom pain that you were talking about, it's all a matter of concentration and focus. What am I focusing on? If I focus on the Murli, which is language of God, if I focus on the titles that he has given me, if I focus on the powers that he has given me, that he didn't give it to me. He said, you have these powers, just use them. If I focus on them, then I start activating them, and I start aligning my intellect with his intellect. If we have time, I just share one very lovely experience that I had with Baba about aligning the intellect.
Sure.
So when I used to listen to music, and every time I listened to music, I used to always dance with Baba. Using Brahma Baba's body of light, and being in the Sato region, and then dancing with him. And I remember there was one song that came, and I was thinking, this song, it was such a nice dance song. And I was thinking, who would I, in my mind, who would I dance with? Should I dance with my friend, or should I dance with this professional dancer? And everybody I was picturing, there was going to be like one beat or 1 second of delay. In like, if I have to think about this move, then they will do the move after me. So I went up to the southern region and I said, Baba, let's dance together. And my experience was the most celestial and heavenly, I don't know, pure experience. When the music started, I danced with that music with Baba. And every move, he was with me, synchronized to the microsecond. And it was such a satisfying experience without me having to show or explain. And he just followed every step that was in my intellect. He followed it with me simultaneously. And at the end, when it finished, I said, wow, Baba, now this is the key lesson, which I myself have to also take it in. But, you know, this experience was so real that I understand what it means to align your intellect with his intellect. I said to him, wow, Baba, you haven't missed a beat. You connected your intellect to my intellect and you totally saw every move. And then he said, right after that, he said, if that was remarkable, imagine how it would be if you connect your intellect to mine. That was the telling moment about how powerful we are if we connect our intellect to God's intellect, our frequency to his frequency, our language to his language. How powerful that would be. And I try to do that again and again. I forget, it slips, it gets forgotten from time to time, but that dance experience, I recall it again and again because I want to stay aligned with his intellect, because he showed me the power of him connecting with my intellect, how it was not like it was so synchronized, not a second was missing. So reverse of it is as powerful and even more powerful. And this is something I think, I hope that you can take it as a gift to experience it and to make an effort to stay with Baba, because the lesson that once one senior said was that, are we here to fix hell or are we here to create heaven? Like, can we really fix this world? No. We cannot fix anything of this world, but we can create heaven. And it's easier to create heaven, I think, at this point than to fix hell, right? So the same thing, do we want to keep pulling out weeds, or should we plant the rose bush and let that beauty and that fragrance and that rose to overpower and overcome the weeds? So let me not focus on body consciousness, but now that I have these two paths, the path of ignorance and the path of knowledge, let me be on the path of knowledge and work with that and be in touch with the essence. Be in the essence, because this world is the expansion, the tree. Let me be in the essence, the seed. And then I don't experience anything but lightness and joy and carefreeness. And of course, abundance of every sort. abundance in the intellect, abundance in the knowledge, abundance in life, even abundance in food. Om Shanti, and thank you for this opportunity to be with the San Francisco family and with the West Coast family. Thank you.